So one concept we discussed about events. We discussed about different events, how to handle them. We will see how we can manage those events and work with them. So already last session we discussed about how to use debounce and handling debounce can be done by using set timeout. Another one clear timeout. And I showed you one example. So related to set timeout, clear timeout, one example I already explained. Right. So that is related to the concept of debounce. We discussed about debounce and how to handle it. Next, after understanding the concept of debounce, today we'll see one more. That is how to handle throttle. So what is difference between debounce and throttle? What is the difference between these two? Let's check that. So what is difference between the debounce and throttle? Let's check. So when we learnt about throttle, actually in JavaScript, you already know this concept. What is problem with debounce concept is when you are dealing with the debounce. So I explained a process. So for example, so you are having a task. So task one, and we are having memory and process. So we have task, memory, and process. This is memory and this is process. So what we learned for this is generally when we use throttle, when we use debounce, what will happen? This task is loaded into memory, and from the memory, it is removed and it is sent into the process, and it will perform the functionality and it will exit the process. So that means task is going to execute only once. Task will run only one time. Task will load into memory. From the memory, it is removed and it is sent into process. It will perform the functionality inside the process. Once it is done, it is going to exit the process. So task will execute only once. What is the concept of throttle is? Throttle will load the task into memory and it will keep in the memory and it is going to release a copy into the process. From the memory, it is going to release a copy into the process. After finishing the task that you define, it is going to release another copy so into the process every few seconds. That means at regular time intervals, it is going to release the task from memory and send into the process. So what happens? The task is going to execute repeatedly until removed from memory. Once it is removed from memory, now it will stop. If it is not removed from memory, then it is going to execute continuously until it is removed. So that means it is an indefinite loop. It will continuously execute. Let's see how this happens. Actually, in JavaScript already you know this, how this works. The same Here we will see how to implement it, how we can implement the concept of throttle and work with it. So what is the difference between throttle and debounce? Debounce is going to execute the task only once. Throttle is going to repeat the process. So what is the meaning of the word throttle, right? So throttle is nothing but it is the process of executing given task repeatedly until removed from memory. That is the point about throttle. So it loads the given task into memory. It is going to load the given task into memory and releases a copy of task into process. That's what it is going to do. So it is going to load the given task into memory and releases a copy. So it repeats until it repeats until it is cleared from memory. That's what the concept of throttle. And generally how you manage this throttle. So we can handle the throttle by using set timeout. Sorry, this is set interval and clear interval. We have clear interval, set interval and clear interval. By using that, you can perform this functionality. So let's see one real world example how this works, how the throttle concept actually works. Let's take one real example. Let's say, suppose you have a simple clock or a stopwatch. First, I will show you one basic level example, then another one. So let's go to our project. This is our project. And here we will add a new file. I'm adding a new component. So by name interval demo, add a new file interval demo.jsx, export function interval demo, and it will return a simple div container fluid, and I'll just keep a header. So some heading is there. And here we want to display the clock. So text center. Let's keep it in the startup. So I will keep this in the startup interval demo. Okay, that is in the startup interval demo is there. Let's run this. npm run dev. Okay, and you can see this is empty. We don't have anything. So I want to display a clock here. So I want to display one clock. So then what to do? So here I am defining constant. So we have like time. Set time is equal to use state, and it is configured with a new date type. So it will load the current date and time. And here we want to display the time. So I'm accessing. So actually this is time dot to local time string. Local time string is going to get the current time and display. But when you observe this, what happening here is the time is not ticking. You can see the time is paused. So it's at 46:39 it is paused. Whenever I refresh, why it is paused? Because it executes once at the time of mounting the component. When I click on refresh, component mounts and automatically it will get the latest and it will stop. So it is going to access and it is going to stop. But what we need to do is we want this task repeatedly. That means every few seconds it should execute. We want this to run every few seconds. So every few seconds it should run, it should execute. This time should run and display every few seconds. Let's see how it can be done. So we'll go to this time and we will have a function. So function is set time. This is like timer, and what it will do is set time. It is going to load the new time. So we are going to get the new date and time. So that means every here timer is a function. The timer function is going to set a new time. And use effect means at the time of mounting, what we will do. So we will load this particular function. That means I will call timer at the time of loading. Means at the time of mounting the component, we are calling the timer. And it is going to get the time and display time. But you can observe here. So you can observe here, time is just displayed only once. It is not repeating. So what is happening here? It is going to call this function only once. Timer function is called only once. But we want it to repeat continuously. Then what we will do? We will give this to set interval. Set interval, it will use the timer and at every 1000 milliseconds, it should execute it. So what is the meaning of this? You are giving the timer function to throttle. So it is going to execute this and repeat this every second. It will continue until it is removed from the memory. That means now what happens here? When the time is ticking and you can see the time is continuously ticking, it is going to show the time continuously ticking there. So what is happening now? A task is given and the task is going to execute repeatedly. So when it will stop? Usually it will stop when you stop the timer. How we can stop the timer? You have to clear it from the memory. Once you clear from the memory, it is going to remove. So that means what we have to do, we have to clear interval. Then you can stop it. But usually this is a system clock. We are accessing the time and displaying. How we can stop, I will show you. We'll see another example for that. But this is what generally the concept throttle. If I give this to interval, what will happen? Timeout. If I give it to set timeout, what is going to happen? It is going to execute only once. So I will refresh. You can see it is going to execute only once and it is stopping. It should not stop. You can see it is executing only once and it will stop. When I run this, you can see it will execute once. After that, it will stop. We want it repeatedly. So we need to give this not to timeout. We have to give this to interval. Then you can see, so it is going to execute the task and repeat the task continuously. So you can see it is repeating the task continuously. So that is the concept of a throttle. So generally, what is the basic syntax, how you can define the throttle? We have set interval and it uses a function. And this function is going to execute at specific interval. You have to define the time interval. Define the time interval. And how do you clear the interval? We have to use clear interval. You have to clear the interval and you need to set reference name. So if the function is having a reference name, you need to set the reference name and define it. So that is one basic point about how the throttle works. That's a simple example. Here we are not clearing. Let's see example with clear also. I will copy this. This is the first one. And I'm adding this here. So you can see it's added. Yeah. So that is the basic of interval, how we can handle. Okay. Now let's see one real example for this. That means another example I will show you how we can handle timeout interval and all these things, how we can manage. So we will go here. Let's see one stopwatch here. I'm using a stopwatch. You can see the stopwatch. In this stopwatch, you have hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. And when user clicks on start, automatically the timer starts. And you can see it is executing the stopwatch here. And what it is doing is, it is counting up to 999 milliseconds. Once it is 999, then it will increment the seconds. Once the seconds are 60, then it will increment the minutes. Then it will go to hours. And here you have a reset button and a stop button. When I click reset, it should cancel everything and set everything to 000. So that is a simple stopwatch. And this is a best example of throttle. That means how the throttle option works. It's a simple example for throttle. So what is the concept in this throttle is, when you click start, it should continuously run this. And you know, when it is going to stop, it will never stop until you stop. It is going to execute repeatedly. So there is no option for implicitly stopping. Explicitly, you can stop this. You can just reset this. Let's see how to achieve this functionality. Means a simple one. Up to one level, I will explain. Other, you have to implement. So once one level of logic I will explain, then you have to implement. Because if you do a small mistake in initialization, assignment and all, then you will get issues. So I will give a simple example for that, how to handle it, how do we manage. Let's see. So I will create this one, a small interaction. So I will add a new component here. Let's make this as a stopwatch, and we will add a stopwatch.jsx. So we have export function stopwatch. Okay, let's design. I will just create a simple interface. So here we are having a deflex, okay, or dgrid. I will give just as what, row. So in this we will keep a column. So we have a container fluid, and we will put a div and put the class as what, row. And in this we have columns. So class call. So one for hours, another for minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. After our number, temporarily here I will keep a span where it will be like our number and a colon and another span. This is the minute and another colon Let's put a span, and this is like so seconds, and we have another. Okay, so we will add another div. This is class call. Okay, column, and here we are having a span. Initially, let's keep this 000, right? Actually, that's the basic. Let's set the output also. So I will make this stopwatch in the startup. I'm writing this stopwatch in the startup, and it is there. Let's keep it a little bit. So row margin top is 5 and padding is 4, and I will add so width as 50. That will be fine. So we are adding some border. Okay, let's keep this. We have text center. Actually, that will keep deflex, display flex, justify content center. It will keep in the center. And below this row, let's add another row. And I will put a button here like what? Stop. Start. Okay. Then we have another button, stop. BTN and BTN primary. So we have BTN, some secondary. Okay. So that is the start and stop buttons need to be, yeah, all this we will keep in another div. Okay, then it will be fine. Then this will be like the width we will set to 100. So little bit more width is required then. I will put style. So here width and up to 600 pixels. It will be fine. Okay, 500 pixels. And this division is having class margin of 4. So just these two buttons are beside. So MX is 2, ME is 2. Okay. Now what is the requirement here is when I click on the start, the timer should start incrementing the numbers. It should start incrementing the numbers, and once seconds is there, it should set the hours, minutes, hours, seconds, all these. Let's go. So we will set up references for one is hours, set hours, use state. Okay, it's a number. Then we have minutes. So set minutes. Use state, that's also a number. We have second, set seconds. So use state, that's also a number. And we have so milliseconds, set milliseconds, that's also a number. Yeah. And you know, when you are displaying them, we have to display those values here. So I'm using here, our number will come. So here minutes number will come. Here the seconds number will come. And here milliseconds number will come. And already you know how to display them with fractions, decimal places. You know that means precision. how much means double digits, triple digits. You already know that. You add colors and formats of numbers to that. I will just give you a basic logic. So you should able to design this with that idea. Okay, so what should happen on start? It should start incrementing the milliseconds. So what we will do is here, I'm going to write one function. The function name start watch. Start watch is the function. In this function, we are going to increment the milliseconds first. That means what we will do. So milliseconds increase by 1. Actually, you can declare separate variables like var. So milliseconds is equal to, initially it will be 0. After that, what will happen is milliseconds will increase by 1. After that, set milliseconds. You can set the milliseconds into this. So milliseconds value is set into this. Because why we are declaring another variable? Because we are giving a constant and you cannot assign anything into constant. We configured the state as constant and you cannot assign anything into the constant. So that is the reason we need to configure this. Right, we need to set up like this. And here one logic is there. What is the logic? So what's the logic we need to define here is, if milliseconds is 999, then it should increase seconds. If it is 999, then it should increase the seconds. So you need to increase the seconds. So what you should do now? So you need to define seconds number also. So seconds number also we have to define. So here we will write a condition. If milliseconds, so here if milliseconds is equal to, what is the condition? 999. If milliseconds is equal to 999, what should happen? The seconds number should increase. So what you do is you declare another variable called seconds. And this seconds number should increase. That means what we are doing, seconds plus plus. And after that, we have to set seconds. That seconds value we will put there. So we are incrementing the seconds number and defining it. And very important is, after setting the seconds number, means after setting the seconds number, seconds incrementing and set the seconds, what should happen is we should set the milliseconds to 0 again. That means after it reaches 99, milliseconds must be set to 0 again. It should be set to 0. Now similarly, another condition you have to write. What is the condition? If seconds is equal to 59, once it reaches 59 seconds, then what should happen? Then so you need to increase minutes. That means you need another one. So where? So we have minutes. So, and what should happen here is, if seconds is 59, then minutes should increment, and set minutes is equal to minutes. So we have to access and set the minutes. And again, what we have to do, set seconds to 0. We have to set the seconds to 0. So after setting this, we did setting those values. You can set anywhere like this. You can write all the logic. I'm just giving an overview up to one level. All others you write. That means I'm just giving you an idea of the concept. You can write. Now, what should happen on start click? These must increment. So that means when I click start, this function should start and it should continue to execute every millisecond. Every millisecond, this function should execute. That means we will write a function. So start handle start click. On start click, what should happen? This function should execute every millisecond. And at the same time, we should able to cancel this also. That's the reason we need a reference for this start watch. So what you can do for reference, in the last session, we discussed about how to create a reference memory thread is equal to user. And a reference memory, initially it is null. We are configuring a reference memory. The reference memory is null. So the reference memory is set to null. So by default, the reference memory is null. Okay, now what should happen on start click? Thread dot current. Thread dot current is equal to set interval. And which function? Start watch function. And every 1 millisecond it should execute. Every 1 millisecond it is going to execute. Now on start click, you have to call that handle start click. So what we will do here on the button on click, we'll say handle start click. So what will happen now? When I click on start, it should start. But you see, it is resetting. It is only one. It's not continuing. Why? Because the reason is simple. All these declarations of milliseconds, seconds, minutes, you need to declare them globally. You need to declare them globally because every time when the function executes, it resets them to zero again. That's the reason. Now, what will happen when I run this start? It is going to execute that. When milliseconds reaches 100, then seconds are going to increment. You can see the seconds are going to increment. So this is a simple timer. And once it reaches to 4, means once it reaches to 59, then minutes, once it reaches to minutes 59 hours, is going to increment continuously. That depends on the time interval how you define. Now what should we achieve here is when I click on the stop, it should automatically reset all these values. I hope you people can do that. So actually, how do you stop the timer to do that? I will show you one example here. To stop the timer, what to do? So you need to define another function. So handle stop click. Stop click. Okay. On stop click, what to do? We have to clear interval. Clear interval that is loaded in thread dot current. In that memory, whatever is there, you define. What is reference memory? How to use useref already I explained in previous class. So we discussed about this hook, how to configure a user reference and use it. And on stop click, I need to do that. That means what we have to do on click, handle stop click. I need to access this. Now you can see start and on stop click, it is going to stop it. But not just stop. Yeah, that depends on your requirement. On stop click, if you want to reset everything, then what you do, set hours 0, set minutes as 0, set seconds as 0, set milliseconds as 0. All these you can set to 0. That means hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, all these you can set to 0. Actually, you can use a pause stop like option. So you see when I start, then it is going to execute. And if you click on stop, then it is going to automatically reset them to 0. It is going to reset to 0. Displaying double digit, triple digits, you know that you learned about number functions, you can try them. You can use the number functions and you can display. So, but this is one example of understanding the throttle, how the throttle concept works. I showed you two examples. One is how we can deal with the interval. That means date, time, how to display the time. Another one is simple stopwatch, how we can create a simple stopwatch. What is the concept here? When start watch is called, it is incrementing the milliseconds. Actually, many times the point is, if you declare hours, minutes, seconds as var or let, directly you can assign them. But now you cannot assign. That's the reason we need to take separate references for them, and we have to use those references. So generally, this is, I will copy this example. I will give this example here. This is the concept of a stopwatch, how we can handle it. I'll copy this example, and this is stopwatch. Stopwatch. That's one simple example of how we can design a stopwatch. Actually, you can implement in various other concepts also. Depending on requirement, you can implement. Later, I will explain some more examples using this. So, while working with events, another important is timer events. How you can deal with timer events. So, what are the timer events? I will just give one summary about this timer events. So, we have set timeout, that's one. Clear timeout, that's another. We have set interval. So another one, clear interval. These are all timer related options. And I give an examples, different points. You can try more examples using this and you can manage them. Right? Yeah. So once you know these timer events, I will show you another example where we can have the manual control, auto control, and everything. So we will create one simple design. So level by level, we can implement on that. We will take some real-time data and we will try to implement the functionality. First, manually, how we can manage. Then how to handle the auto. We will see both the concepts, timer events, how to manage that. So I will give one example here. Let's create a option like I'm adding a new component. This is carousel demo. Okay. And this is carousel demo. I hope if you ask in real time examples where we use this, I showed you a stopwatch, I showed you the clock. And not only that, in websites, you will see carousels. In carousel, what you observe is a set of images are sliding automatically every few seconds. Every few seconds, it is going to change. And you can manually control. So for example, if you open websites like Amazon and see, you can see the carousel here. So sliding banners, they have a manual control. Right button, next slide. This button, previous slide. And if you leave it, automatically every few seconds, the image will be changing. That means it has a manual and auto control. Automatically, every few seconds, how it is going to change. Actually, that is done by using the timer events. That means you know that interval, set interval, every few seconds, it can change the image. This type of design we can create manually. So I will show you export function, carousel demo, and return a simple div class. So container fluid. So display flex, justify content center. Okay, let's take one example here. I'm creating a card, margin top 4, padding is 3. Okay, and this is W50. So we have some card and it is having a div. So let's put a card title. So card header, we will add a card header for that. Okay, and we will have card body. So I will put a class card body, and we have a card footer. Card footer. Now this I will keep in the startup. Let's go to the components. Carousel demo is in the startup. Okay. Now you can see there is a card here available. Okay. Now in the card header and body, let's create one design. In the body, I'm adding an image. So image width is 100. I will give as 100%, like a string, 100%. And height, so we given height as some 300. Okay, so we have the card like this. Image is like this. Okay, and in this body, let's divide this again into class row. So we have a div. This is class call1, that is column 1, and we have a class called 10. In that 10 column, we have an image. We have another div. This has call1. Okay. Left side, I'm adding a button, class bi chevron left, and actually btn dark something. Similarly, here we will have a button chevron right, chevron left and right. And you can see two buttons are there. This is left navigation, right navigation button. I will keep them in the center. Deflex, flex column, justify content center, align items center. So this I will copy. I will put in the second column also. Okay. Now you can see we have a side by side options available. Okay. Now below this image, below the image, I will keep a div. And here we will put some margin top as 3. And here we will put an input type as range and the class form range. So you can see a range is there. That is the range slider we are having. It's like a seek bar. We are creating one seek bar and we are displaying that. Okay, in the card footer, so we'll put text center. In the footer, I'm adding button, class btn some, we say success, bi play. And we have another one is pause. And we have bi danger. Okay, so this is what we are having, the bi danger, and this I will give as warning. Okay, mx is 2. Okay, some gap. You can see we are having these buttons. Okay, now what we want to implement here is we will get the data from fake store and we will load the data here. So what we are doing is we are creating a simple constant product. This is product and set product is equal to use state. It is expecting a product. It is an object with ID, number, title as string. So it has image that is also a string, means null. We are expecting description. So description is also null. We will take from fake store. So price is a number. So and rating is again an object with rate and count. And we have category. Category is also a string type null. This is all the fake store data. Already we know the data. So here what I am doing, so I am creating a function called load product manually, and it is expecting a product ID. When you pass the ID, that ID related product, it should load. So we will use axios.get, and here https://fakestore.api.com/what products slash the ID. ID is coming from the ID you pass. That means it will load only one product. Then on success, get the response and the set product response dot what data. Now what we have to do, we have to load the product manually. Okay. Now the product depends on ID. It depends on ID. So what I will do is, so we will write use effect. At the time of mounting the component, what should happen is it should load product manually, and I will pass the ID as 1. That means the first product is loaded, and the first product title I want to display in the card header. In the card header, we will get product.title. I will keep text center. And you can see that the first product title is displayed there. And the product image must be displayed below. So what I will do is the image src is coming from dynamically, it is coming from product.image. You can see the first product image will come. Now what should happen is when I click next image should come. When I click previous, the previous image should come. So we should implement this navigation. So, and very important is the same product should reflect on the seek bar also. That means this track bar should change according to the product. So what we will do here, we will declare one reference memory. So let product ID is a reference memory. Use ref. Why? Because we want to use it internally, and we will keep it as 0, or by default we will keep it as 1. So that means the product ID, it starts with 1. Actually it is a reference memory because we want to use that internally in the process, not for rendering. I already explained what is use ref, how it will work. I explained the process. Now what should happen when user clicks next button? That means function. So handle next click. On next click, what should happen is this thread. So we have thread